Horticulture.
Back at it again as the Horticulture Podcast. I have Clark Steffens and Lisa Marie with me, and we have a special guest, Melissa. Scott,
Hello.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Can't complain. Lucky to be alive still.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to have you. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all reaching out.
I wanted to start off with like the background story so everybody can know how you went viral and everything like that. So let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Actually, it did not even occur on IG Live or on Facebook Live. Yeah, right. That video that went viral, that was an unexpected thing. That video was made from my family and friends out of frustration of being forced to quit my job. So what led up to that was I had went into work that day. It was on March 25th. I was not supposed to be assigned to the coronavirus unit. I'm an 8-year triple negative breast cancer survivor, and I had already been informed that I would not be placed with positive coronavirus patients or those being tested for coronavirus. So that day when I went into work, I grabbed my assignment and found out that I was being sent to a coronavirus unit. My manager, she was aware of my health situation, my health status, as well as the fact that I'm the primary care provider for my children here because my husband, he's currently working on the West Coast along with
you have 5, right?
We have 5.
Oh, 5?
And our oldest is over there with him as well working. So if I have to quarantine, there's no one here to watch my children. And so she was aware of all these things. And so after I found out I was being sent off of my regular floor where I usually work, I brought this to her attention. I said, you already know I'm the primary care provider for my children. I have nowhere to send them. And she basically laughed in my face. Said, you ain't excused from floating, and then a little laugh afterwards. And so then that's whenever I mentioned, well, you also know my breast cancer history. I don't know your history. And another laugh. I did not immediately quit because I see a lot of comments saying I just went in, acted like a brat, and just quit. That's not even the case. Right. I changed my assignment. She refused. I even asked to speak to someone higher. Whenever I asked to speak to the house supervisor, her response was, for what? I'm the manager. So at this point, I'm feeling like I'm being backed into a corner with no other, options. And I did panic. I don't know where I quit came from, but I said, I quit. And so when I said that, she said, you sure? You sure? Okay. Not one time, just say she didn't know my health history. Not one time did she try to stop me, pull me off to the side and say, what are your concerns? What are your issues? None of that. And so after she saw it, I saw that she didn't care. I clocked out, and that's when I went to the locker room, cleared my locker out, and I got on Facebook Live. That video, like I said, I just wanted to make a mass video because I didn't want to call different people and let them know. My husband didn't even know what was going on. I just let them know that I was forced to leave, and it went from there. By the time I had gotten home, it had already been shared thousands of times, so it was too late to take it back. So that's how the video went viral. But there was a backstory that led up to that. I don't know if you want me to get into that yet. Because me and my coworkers are thinking that, well, I know this was retaliation against me by this manager. So the day, you want me to get into that right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The day that news broke that my hospital, BB Putney, had a case of coronavirus, that was March 11th. I get to work that day. Coworker texts me. She said, just beware, room such and such is a coronavirus room. Grab my assignment. What do you know? They assigned me that particular room. I did bring up my concerns then. I was not even focused on the fact that I'm a breast cancer survivor, which puts me at higher risk of contracting this virus. A lot of people are saying, you're 8 years out. You're no longer at risk. That's not true. I went through chemo. I had a double mastectomy with multiple lymph node removal, as well as radiation. The fact that I've had lymph nodes removed, that means that I'm always compromised. I'll always be at greater risk of getting sick than the average person. So like I said, that wasn't even my concern. I was thinking about my kids. So I did bring that issue up to the charge nurse. I said, do y'all not consider the fact that I have a baby at home and I don't have anywhere to send them if I, contract this virus? And she stated that other people had family as well. I get that, but I was concerned about my particular situation. I went on and took care of the patient. The patient did end up testing positive, but let me tell you about that. I felt sick the following day after I took care of this patient. I felt like I was coming down with something. My throat was hurting. I felt horrible. And all I could think about was this patient positive? That was a fear of mine. And so when I returned back to work, I asked my team leader, I said, will we be notified if these patients test positive? She immediately said, oh, yours was positive. The manager should have sent you an email. I said, she didn't. And so I pulled up my email then. We double checked. I did not receive anything. Other people who had taken care of the same patient, they started saying how the manager had emailed them and even called them. She did not bother to contact me at all. So that was a big issue for me. And so one of the other charge nurses pulled me off to the side and told me that she had told the manager of my breast cancer history and that I would not have to worry about being assigned to these patients anymore. And that I never should have been assigned that initial patient because of my history. So the manager was notified of my history from the charge nurses. I told her myself face-to-face, and I even told her in email correspondence. I wanted to know the proper protocol, whether or not we were supposed to be notified. So I called employee health and I called somebody in upper management. Everyone said that whether or not you had PPE on, which is the protective gear, whether or not you had that on at the time of care, your manager is still supposed to notify you, and she never did. I even approached the manager one morning when I was getting ready to leave. I asked her if we could talk. I had needed to ask her a question. She was very rude, very nasty. And so I went home. I sent her an email asking her the question. She told me that the only people that were being contacted or notified were those that had direct contact prior to the patient being placed on enhanced precautions. That's not true. That didn't sit well with me. And I know that's not true because one of my, I hope y'all are following me. One of my,
Yeah.
Of course. Oh, I'm totally with you.
Oh, yeah.
okay, my other who had her patient the same night I had mine, same situation. Her patient was on enhanced precautions at the time of care. Her patient ended up testing positive. The manager notified her. So I'm just trying to figure out, why was I left out? That's a big problem for me. It's like you're playing with my, so.
Yeah, and like, why did why were they acting like that towards you as far as with that, especially if they, they knew your history? Like, is there something that? Let
me just say, it's not they, it's her. It's this particular manager who has, I don't know what her issue is. She does have a history, and I'm not trying to slander her. I'm just speaking facts. She does have a history of bullying and mistreating people. She's been kicked out of other units. There were 2 other people that quit the same day that I did because of her. Right. And the following other nurse quit because of her. So it's a big problem.
How long you guys been working together with? Like, how long you guys been working with each other?
And, I came back to the hospital in 2000. It was either 2014 or 15, but she just came to our floor in February, and this incident happened March 25th.
So it's really only been like a month.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even know her prior to that, but I will say when she was nominated as, or when it was announced that she was a candidate for the position, a lot of people that knew her said that they would leave if she was hired. And the coronavirus situation, some nurses did leave because of her. So it's a big problem. She's to that floor, actually. So I felt
Are you going to anticipate going back to work, or are you, I mean, obviously not right now, because I wouldn't even go back right now, to be honest, but
I made the decision to stay out until this virus gets a little bit under control, because it's still bad. And actually the numbers are rising again in our area. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. I do need to be working right now. I've been out of work going on 2 months now, and that is causing some financial strain on my family. But I don't even know what I'm going to do about work because that hospital is the main one in my area, and they're not going to let me come back. So I know they're not going to let me come back because this went like it spread worldwide.
That is insane.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. That's not what I even wanted, but it has turned out to be a positive thing because a lot of people have shared similar situations with me. A lot of people have shared, like with this particular lady. So it turned out to be a plus. I've been receiving negative backlash, but the positive far outweighs.
Definitely, as far as with her being there, is there like some, and I hate to say this about somebody, but I mean, they should be removed, they should be removed. And then those people that quit should be able to come back because that says something that if all those people quit it,
I agree, and there are plenty of others that agree with what you just said. Actually, one of my coworkers was texting me this week saying, I wish you could come back because that floor is having a lot of problems because of her. She has created a toxic and hostile work environment. And I'm not just saying that because of my situation. I know for a fact that if she was not there, if she was never in that position, I would still have my job right now. I felt like I was forced to choose between my life and my job. And after you face death once before, I mean, I can't even describe how I felt in that moment. It was scary. It was very scary because this virus, I know people who have died from it. Like, it has hit my really hard. Family members have died from it. My husband's best friend. So it's a scary situation. And then to know that she's playing with my life, I felt like she was playing with my life by not notifying me, by leaving me out. That's a problem, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Have you are you going to seek any legal assistance in that aspect as far as that, as it pertains to that particular scenario?
I am checking into it because what happened wasn't right. That was clearly a case of bullying. I don't know if it would be retaliation. I really believe it was discrimination as well because she was showing favoritism to the travel nurses. There's one nurse in particular, a traveler. They get paid the hazard pay. We were not getting paid anything. And she was making accommodations for him. Let me just say, after I quit, that they had to figure out who was going to go to the coronavirus floor. And she refused to send the travel nurses. She said, no, you're compromised. Why does their compromised status matter, yet I'm staff and mine doesn't? That's not fair. That is not fair.
And I also heard that you said that you guys had to continuously use, the same supplies and masks and, et cetera.
That's another thing.
And my mom works actually for the Veterans Hospital, and she was saying that I actually was making her mask at home so that she'd be able to utilize it too. So.
Yeah, we were having to reuse the same mask and gown, and that was not the standard prior to this pandemic. And a lot of nurses have tested for corona. And let me just say, I found out the unit where they are attempting to send me, 6 nurses have tested positive from that unit.
That's I believe it. My mom had 3 in her job that tested positive, and 2 died.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you this too because I heard this from my friend. He works at a nursing staffing company, and he was saying that it's possible that the hospital can report you to the board, and then you have to get a lawyer involved and stuff like that.
A lot of people have been saying that, but let me just say, I never accepted an assignment. It's patient abandonment once you accept an assignment. I never did handoff. I never even went to the floor where she was attempting to send me. I did clock in. I clocked in at 6:44. I clocked out at 6:46. I didn't accept an assignment. So if it comes down to that, I will definitely fight it because it's not patient. I didn't have any patience to abandon. I did receive a letter from the hospital. I don't check my mail because when I tell you I'm scared of coronavirus, I don't even leave my house. Today was the first time.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, today's my first time leaving my house since the beginning of April when I went to get tested for coronavirus, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But the letter I received from the hospital, it was a separation notice, and it said job abandonment, and that made me feel sick to my stomach because I'm thinking that they are going to try to mess with my life, but I don't see how they can because I didn't abandon any patients. But
Right.
the day after I quit, I developed symptoms. I started having a dry cough. I started running a low grade temp. I lost my sense of taste.
Wow.
I was scared. This girl, one of my friends, her father actually passed away from coronavirus. And when she heard my cough, she said, Melissa, that cough sounds just like my dad's. You need to go get checked. My aunt, who is also a nurse, she thought the cough sounded bad as well. I didn't want to leave, but I got tested. The test did come back negative, but a lot of nurses that I have spoken with, they seem to think that it was a false negative because a lot of these tests have been giving false negatives. So I don't know. It was just a scary situation.
I was listening to another doctor, and he said that the test that they're providing is only about 70 to 80% accurate. So that's how you can get a false negative.
I
So it's
believe
not
that.
even 100% accurate because they don't have that enough, I guess, data or whatever to support that yet.
I agree. And also my husband's aunt, she was tested here in Albany. She was negative. She got retested, ended up positive, ended up on a ventilator, had to fight for her life. She just got out of the hospital last week.
Wow.
But
Oh wow. I actually did read something about that where a lady did get coronavirus. She got tested positive, quarantined herself for the 14 days that they say that's required for you to quarantine yourself, and she got out. She normally, I guess they don't retest you after to even see if you have it, is from what I've been told, and my uncle as well passed away from it, and I've had a few family members and friends with it. So but they have said that she did go back and get retested, and she was still tested positive. So she had to re-quarantine herself again for another 14 days and then wanted to get tested a third time and had an issue getting tested. She ended up testing negative finally for the third time, but it was a hassle for her just to get the third test, and she had to drive 5 hours, I believe, out of the way just to get the test.
that's ridiculous. I have heard a lot of people say that they're having a hard time getting retested, and I don't understand that. That's wrong because they can still be positive. Just person might be asymptomatic. If you're around somebody else, you can like cause them to die. I mean,
Exactly.
so that was a problem with the hospital. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but they had a policy to where if staff members were testing positive but were asymptomatic, they were still requiring them to come to work.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And like once people started spreading that policy, they quickly had to revise that because they were receiving a lot of bad. And that's wrong because,
Of course.
like, just say I'm working side by side somebody that has it and they're not having any symptoms, they could kill me. So
I feel like it's like the flu, you know. I've never had the flu vaccine. I've never had the flu. I have been around people in my household that have had the flu, and I still never got it, you know, and I've never had the vaccine or anything. So I feel like exactly, it goes, you know, it depends on everybody's body and their immune system and how they're able to, you know, kick the virus in general if they can.
Melissa, what are your thoughts on the people saying that people who took the flu shot is more prone to the coronavirus?
I have heard people saying that. I don't know how to feel about that one.
Or any type of like vaccine shot, not just the flu shot, anything.
Prone to getting coronavirus.
Yeah, those are the ones, people are saying those are the ones that are getting it. I'm pretty sure Clark could attest to this.
I would have to see data to back that up, but I have read some people have been commenting about that. I would have to see data to back that up because I don't know how I feel about that one.
Okay, that's a good medical answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Another thing too. Go ahead, Clark. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of the vaccine, since we're on that, because I know as a nurse you have to get certain vaccines every amount of years. Was it every 2 years or every year?
I think it's every year.
The flu shot, you have to get that every year, and I'm not a fan of it at all.
They actually well, since being that you had, you fought cancer, you beat cancer, like you still have to take that vaccine.
Yes, work at the hospital, you have to get it. And I don't like that because I get sick. Every time I get the flu shot, I get actual symptoms. I get sick. So
Yeah, my dad actually tells me not to do anything with it at all. He tells me not to get it. Actually, that's probably why I've never gotten it in general. My mom also, but yeah, I haven't ever given it to my daughter either, but I always hear everybody tell me that when they have gotten it or do, get the shot, that they always get sick, and it's kind of like they contract it and then they get over it and then they don't have it anymore.
yeah, that's how it is with myself. I don't give it to my children. I mean, to each its own, but I don't do it. But like I said, I had to get it for work. But I did try to get out of it. The only way I could get out of it is if I had some type of religious sit or whatever.
Did you guys hear
Right.
about the nurse that was sharing custody with her kid, but the fact that she was working during the coronavirus times, that the father found some way to get full rights of him, and now she can't see her kids until this coronavirus
Temporary
is done.
custody until
Yeah.
temporary. Yeah, until coronavirus.
Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah,
I did.
she's in Miami.
Wow. I mean,
And she's a surgeon at that.
Wow. Yeah, that's
bad that she has to stay away from her kids, but I wouldn't, if I had to still be at the hospital working in that environment, I wouldn't want to be around my children because that's a fear. Like, I don't want to, but I don't know. That's just very unfortunate.
Have you like received any support from like celebrities or anybody who's tried to help you, like sign a petition or do something of that sort to help you get back into the field? Or
Hasn't been any petitions, but I've had celebrities reach out to me. T.I. reached out and offered support, salutes my decision. I don't like to tell people everything, but
oh yeah, no,
It's
no.
okay. Keep it to yourself. I totally understand.
Benjamin Crump, he's spoken out and said that
Okay.
yeah, that was major. I'm like, whoa. And even when T.I. messaged me, that was major. Like, I couldn't believe it. Deborah Cox has shown support. A model named Royce Morgan. I've received an overwhelming amount of support from all around the world, actually. Nurses from France, Africa, Australia.
Oh wow.
Okay,
Yeah. Messages, I can't keep up with them and that's why it took me so long to respond to y'all because I didn't know that y'all had messaged me. You know what I mean? So,
all right, that's good for.
I have a feeling that you're gonna end up on like what's the word? I guess like on the board trying to help other nurses.
you know what? I don't see myself as a hero or anything like that, but a lot of people have said, that's how they view me because I did something that they have the nerve to do. But
No,
when you're
that's true. A lot of people wouldn't have the balls to do what you did.
right,
Everything happens for a reason too, so you gotta look at it like that too.
yeah, I really think God allowed this
And
to
out of
happen.
all people probably putting videos, yours went viral. So
Yeah, it all happened for a reason. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt. I believe it happened to protect me and to stop that lady from bullying people. I really believe that. So,
Yeah, protect your family. Yeah, most definitely. That's how I was looking at. Yeah, and I saw the video, you know what I'm saying? That was really, that hit me because I was like, wow, you were emotional about it. You obviously can see that you care about your patients or that your potential patients that you were gonna help out, and it's just to see that happen, and to be honest, because I was skeptical of the coronavirus and so forth. But then when I started to hear people around me catching it, like one of my friends, she caught it, and then one of my other friends, her mother caught coronavirus. So I was like, okay, this is for real because I don't want to say it's a joke, but like it's you know what I'm saying? Like certain things I look at, I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody around me. They say there's 6 degrees of separation, so there's somebody that they know that person knows that has it. And I didn't have anybody around me, and then it's starting to pick up, and I'm starting to see it. I'm like, whoa, this is no joke.
a lot of people were joking about it. I was sharing the memes joking about it and stuff. But when it started to hit home, I'm like, wait a minute, this is serious. You know what I mean?
Right.
When it affects you personally, it changes your whole
Oh,
perspective.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because at first I'm like, I got a trip to Vail. I'm going to go on a plane. I'm going to go have fun. And then finally, slope shut down. Family members are getting it. You see people dropping like flies, unfortunately. So, yeah, no, I mean, over here, people are still going to the beaches. They're going out to eat, and, I don't know. For me, I don't really think Florida's taking it as seriously as they probably
Not just
could,
Florida now.
but
They got other states too now. Georgia, I think they opened the mall like 2 weeks ago.
no, of course, a bunch of other states too, but we live in Florida. So I'm only speaking for what I know from my personal experience in this state. I haven't gone to Georgia or anywhere else, so I can only speak for what I know where I live.
What do you have to say about the people that are like, why did you have to record it? Why didn't you just keep it in-house? Like, why did you record it and put it on Instagram?
Okay. Well, I never put it on Instagram.
You put
Like
it
I
on
said,
Facebook Live
right. It was Facebook
to your
Live.
friends and family.
I did not know it was going to spread like that. I was, like a lot of people say, well, why didn't you say what your health issue was? I didn't have to because I was talking to people that know me. They knew what I was talking about.
Right.
I had already shared with certain people the issues that I was experiencing with this lady. So it was made out of frustration. I didn't want to leave my job. Like, I couldn't believe that I was actually being forced to do that. And a lot of people say, well, why did you say her name? That was a big issue. They say that was unprofessional. What's unprofessional is how she handled this. That's why I reacted the way I did. If you were there and you would have seen how she laughed in my face, it's like you don't treat your staff members that way. You're supposed to care about concerns. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I do regret putting it on the internet.
I don't really think you should, though, because you know what? At the end of the day, you did what you did at that very moment that you felt was going to be good for you. And even if it was just to your friends and family, that's how things go viral. You send it to a friend, they post it on the internet. I've done plenty of videos where I've just sent a Snapchat or just like a video to friends or on my story. And if you're private or whatever, your friends can screen record and share with everybody, So I wouldn't even regret it or hold yourself accountable because it's not like you went on YouTube and posted it. You know what I mean? Like, just like you said, you did it to your friends and family. And I mean, as a result, you did what you had to do necessary. So even if you did post it or not, the outcome would have been the same. So, I mean, girl, I wouldn't regret it.
Also, let me just make it clear. I never bashed the hospital. I never spoke against them.
No, you left your ID. So unfortunately.
That was made in the heat of the moment. You could tell that my emotions, they were genuine. Like,
your energy exuded through that whole video. So that's why I say I wouldn't regret it because it's not like I personally watching it, I didn't feel like, okay, this was completely to bash the hospital, to bash a particular person. This was just you just speaking how you really felt. And I mean, at that point, if you had intentions, people aren't going to think about what they're wearing or what they have on or what their facial expressions are. You spoke purely how you felt. So, I mean, I watched it and I definitely analyzed it. You didn't go, bashing. You didn't go speaking. You did no malintent. You just simply spoke on your situation, your experience. And that's just like people when they get arrested or, people dealing with racism or anything, So I feel like if people can communicate that and share their feelings on the internet or crazy Karen and everything that they're calling, all these other things, I don't see anything wrong with that. Me personally.
No, I agree. There was something else I was about to say. A lot of people are saying, well, why didn't you just take it higher, take it to HR? In that moment, whenever I asked, I need to speak to the house supervisor, when she said, for what? I'm the manager. That comment right there just totally threw me off. Like, I was not even thinking clearly. First of all, I'm going in there scared as is. And then to have to deal with that, she just totally threw me off. But then now that I'm thinking about it, and all of my coworkers agree, this was a setup. It was totally a setup. She knew that I was not letting go of the fact that she failed to notify me. Nobody can tell me that it was not a setup, and I fell into her trap. She knew how to get me, and I fell for it.
You know, I feel like, you know, just like, you know, Lisa said, it happened for a reason, but also, like, you know, you had something else that you've gotten over, which was huge, which was breast cancer. And to have that story come out, and, like, you know, to be honest, that could be a huge story to, you know, I'm sure there's stuff in the background that most people don't even know,
Right.
that can actually help them in the future. Like, did you, like, you know, for instance, did you do anything natural to get past it as well as chemotherapy? Or, like, did you do something as far as, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I had through 4 months of chemo, and then I had my breast removed. I had a double mastectomy with multiple lymph node removal, radiation. I did change my eating habits, and I didn't do anything natural. You know, I just changed my lifestyle, which I've fallen off the wagon with that. But yeah, and I've had a few scares since then. Actually, in my Facebook memories that popped up today, I had a scan this time last year because I had a cancer scare. I thought that something was going on with my back. I had to get multiple scans done. So I don't know if I said this, but I still have to see my oncologist every 3 months because the type of cancer I had is very aggressive and tends to come back. So that's a very serious issue. And to just throw me right into the line of fire, that's not right. Let me also point out other hospitals had something in place to where they had special accommodations or made special accommodations for people like the pregnant employees or people with health issues. Our hospital didn't even have that in place at the beginning of this pandemic. Like whenever it hit our hospital, I'm sorry, I'm going all around the world to say one thing.
no,
They didn't put that in place until after I quit. That should have been handled a little bit better. What else was I going to say? Also, the very first patient that I had that was being tested, the next morning when I was handing off, giving it to the next nurse, when that nurse found out that she was going to have a patient that was being tested, she got upset, clocked out, and she was about to leave. The manager changed her assignment. So you're telling me that you can change her assignment because she's just upset and scared, but you can't change mine because I'm afraid for my health? But you can tell that.
Yeah, to me it sounds like discrimination. And I mean, like, yeah, because there's no way somebody could be, and especially, and I hate to say this too, if a nurse is single, you know what I'm saying, they don't have kids, and especially if they don't have pre-existing medical conditions, they got to be on the front lines. And I hate to say that, and you know, that people can you know, bash me for that, but they got to go on the front lines. You know what I'm saying? They should be going up there. You know, and that's just for me. You know what I'm saying? And they know that on top of that, you had something pre-existing. It just, you know, to me, I don't understand why somebody would even try to do that. And yeah, and also, you know, I think it's against protocol in any environment where you're working not to have an HR office to go to right away. Isn't that against protocol? Because I know everywhere you go, there's something, you have to have a human resources department, right?
We had an HR department, but I mean, at that time of the evening when I got to work, there was nobody I could contact. The person that I was requesting to speak to, the house supervisor, that was my go-to. But like I said, she deprived me of that right when she said, for what? You know, I could have easily walked off the floor and gotten her, but like I said, I wasn't thinking clearly. I was stressed, scared, all that. I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people, and I don't know if we want to touch on this because it is an issue. This manager is Black. I'm Black, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't know that at first.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that she's Black, a lot of people who know her have said she has issues with nurses who are of a lighter skin tone than she is. I mean, and I've had a nurse message me, a white nurse, saying that she hates white people. I said, well, that's not true because I'm black and she hates me. But then another black nurse, she said, oh, she don't like white people. And so whenever I repeated that to her, that, hello, I'm black, she said, oh, honey, you're not black enough for her. Your hair texture, your skin tone, the way you talk, you ain't black enough for her. So I don't know if that was her issue with me or what, because I never did anything to her for her to dislike me, but apparently there's an issue.
And it was also a short amount of time.
Right. Like I never did anything. I don't know.
Do you think it's just that you guys, like the whole thing going on with the coronavirus and the fact that you guys don't really know each other? Do you think that's,
No, it's not. Because at first, she was treating me nicely at first. She actually told me, she was like, I like you. She made that statement at first, but then all of a sudden, she started acting differently. So, I don't know.
what about the people that are saying, you know what you signed up for?
First of all, who signs up for a pandemic? When I went to nursing school, I didn't think that I would live through something like this. Nobody signs up to work without the proper protective gear. Did have the proper protective gear, but having to reuse it, nurses are getting sick from that. I don't sign up to die. I didn't sign up to die and risk my life. No. For the people saying, oh, well, do you refuse to take care of flu patients and AIDS patients? It's not even the same.
And that's the thing too. I think that's something that, I mean, I don't want to say it right here because, it's something that could be a case for you. But, especially if you weren't trained for COVID, you weren't trained to handle that. You are trained to do those procedures like AIDS patients, even cancer, like you have certain protocols, but this is brand new. This is totally different. And they can say, oh, maybe it's like SARS, but, again, you weren't trained for that. So now it's that becomes, okay, so we're not properly trained. How do we actually take care of the patient? So whose fault is that? That's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? Especially.
It's not. For instance, when I took that patient that was being tested, I double did everything. I put on double gloves, double gown. I covered my hair. I covered my feet. When people saw me covering my hair and feet, they're like, you don't have to do all that. But now what do I see? People. So, yeah, I don't know. We were not about.
I wanted to talk about this too. It's kind of off subject, but since you live in Georgia, that area that Ahmaud got shot at, well, killed at, really, let me not say shot or murdered, really. My friend lives in Georgia. He was saying that area kind of is like racist.
I mean, all of Georgia, really, but I have heard stories, reports of Brunswick, Georgia being a very racist area. I have heard that. You encounter racism. Y'all seen the FedEx video? Have y'all seen the FedEx video?
No,
Yeah, and he got fired, but the guy got to film him and be disrespectful, but he films back. It was the black guy was the worker, right, and the white guy was harassing the worker, and the worker was filming, or the other worker was filming his worker being harassed, and the workers got fired, but nothing happened to the guy.
This was in Georgia?
Yeah. That's actually Leesburg, Georgia, Albany, Georgia. That's where I live. But it's come out, the white guy put out his video, and I actually posted about that on Facebook today. My opinion, when I saw the video at first, and I know we're all off subject, I did think it was a racial issue because of the headlines that was associated with it. I've changed my whole perspective on that. In my opinion, it's not a racist issue. That man got pissed off because they drove up on his lawn. People are crazy about their grass. I think that he didn't want them on his grass. I don't think it was a racial issue. There was nothing that the white guy said in the video to indicate that he was a racist. And like I said, I know we're all off subject, but yeah, that town, Brunswick, Georgia, I have heard that it's very racist. I agree with what you said. Clark,
what do you think? No, Roosevelt. What do you think about the whole process that's going on right now with that whole case with Ahmaud? Do you think that if it was a white person, everything would have been faster. Everything would have been done faster.
Of course. And the only reason why action was taken is because we saw the video. That video, they've known about that video. Keep that in mind. That's the only reason why, because it was leaked to the public. It most definitely would have been different. I saw that the guy that filmed it, he was actually arrested.
He got arrested.
So I'm very happy.
I knew he was involved, and people kept telling me, no, he was just recording it. I was like, nah, something's off. He looks like he's involved.
Yeah, for somebody to not flinch or scream or.
Exactly.
I mean, come on now.
Corey.
Yeah, when he got shot. Exactly. That's the one thing. I'm like, this guy's in on it, obviously, because like you said, he didn't scream.
Well, normally an initial reaction would be drop your phone, jump out the car, call 911, you know. So, no, I mean, yeah, I feel like there could have been definitely a reaction to that, you know, as opposed to just still recording as, you know, they're wrestling and tussling and he's trying to avoid it and it's apparent that it's right there, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, and then there was also surveillance. We're in the building. I saw so that, you know, they were surveilling the building as well. So, you know, I feel like
yeah, like why was it not
doesn't fit well?
Building? I mean, come on now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you know, with the building, they did say that the owners of that house where they were building that house. They said they didn't even care. They didn't mind that he was in there. He didn't take anything. So they said they actually said that. Look it up, you know. So it's like, it's kind of crazy how, you know, somebody can go and try to, you know, just go ahead and take the law in their hands where there was no law being broken anyway. And but I'm glad they're in custody. Either way, I'm glad they're in custody because and not only that, I saw that a lot of, you know, white people were actually speaking up for them. I mean, our
I like that. Anyway, I like that.
But, you know, for them to actually say they're sick and tired of it, and from what I saw, it looks genuine. So, I mean, you know, I like to see that too, you know. And,
a lot of people are digging stuff from his past, saying that he was a criminal. What does that have to do with this particular case? How he got murdered. That has nothing to do with it. That does not justify him being chased down and shot. So
no, absolutely.
Supposedly the two people that shot him, wasn't one of them like a cop or something like that? And
I thought
retired, whatever. Yeah, and he's friends with the judge or something like that. They were saying
there's some kind of connection.
Yeah,
the DA or it was somebody.
Yeah, somebody high up in the food chain or something like that.
Right.
And you know, and it's funny how, you know, I don't want to stay on this subject like that. I mean, I know we're here for, but I mean, it's funny how, you know, the video came out and all of a sudden they get arrested, but I think it's for their protection, not for us. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. I'm looking at it like, is it for their protection? Like, because they you know, they had people of color like us go out there, actually have open carry rifles. You know what I'm saying? Because we're tired of it, right in front of their house. So it's like as if they knew something like that was going to happen. And they locked them up, and I believe for their protection, not even to prosecute them, you know. And that's just my thing. We'll see what happens. You know, they're in custody, but we'll actually see what happens, especially since
I just want to know what happens when we were all colorblind. You know, what would we really be saying? Would we say, "Oh, you're dark gray or light gray"?
Yeah,
realistically,
exactly.
You know what I mean? If you're like, I always wonder, like, what would a world of everyone being colorblind really be like?
Yeah. I mean,
you know, because you really can't. How do you decipher what people are at that point?
Yeah.
You don't actually know what their heritage is and what their background is. How are you really going to be able to decipher by looking at them if you're colorblind what they are?
That's true. But you know, I have a question about like you know, with you surviving the cancer, you know, because it's you know, they say it's 1 out of 3 people that are getting it these days, you know, 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2 people are getting it. And that's a high rate, you know. What stage were you in when you found out? Were you like stage 2, stage 3? And like, what was going through your mind? You know?
Now let me tell you, when I initially found the lump, cancer, that never crossed my mind. I was only 31. I just turned 31 years old. I was still breastfeeding time. So I thought it was just a clogged milk duct. And even when I finally decided to go to the doctor, my doctor dismissed it as nothing. He said, "You're too young to worry about it being anything serious." So I delayed some more going to get it checked out. And when I finally did, my doctor tried to say it was something called fibroadenoma. And so he did not even check me that particular day. Like, this was just bad how it was handled. I wasn't a nurse at this time. Let me just say that.
Okay.
And so when I was scheduled for my mammogram, just from my knowledge, when I saw the image, I knew something was wrong. My nipple was inverted. I had multiple spots of calcification in my breast. So it went from being, he tried to say it was a cyst, fibroadenoma, to get your breast removed. So by the time I was diagnosed, I was stage 2A. And on top of that, it was a very aggressive type. Triple negative is one of the worst ones to have because of the limited treatment options. So yeah, that was pretty bad. I had to immediately get started on chemotherapy. I think I got support the next week after I was diagnosed, and I started chemo. So
How and like, what is triple negative exactly? Like, why was it? Did they explain why it's so rapid? And was it the cell mutating, or what exactly? Why was it doing?
Okay, all right. Oh, how can I explain it? Triple negative does not respond to the traditional treatments for the hormone positive cancers. For the hormone positive cancers, they have a pill, tamoxifen, for the hormone positive cancers that you can take for 10 years out. That does not help in my case. The only treatment available for triple negative is chemo. Get your breast removed, or lumpectomy, whatever you want to do, but I chose to have a mastectomy, and radiation. And most of the time, it tends to come back. It has a very high mortality rate. So for me to be 8 years out, that's a blessing. So
Yes.
That is a blessing. That really is a blessing.
Yeah, I'm glad you got through that. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. But stay in touch, and hopefully we'll bring you back on after this coronavirus. See how life is treating you after all this.
It has been an absolute pleasure.
Right, absolutely. Thank you guys for reaching out, and I appreciate it.
You're
No
welcome.
Of
problem.
course. Good luck.
Have a blessed one.
Horticulture.